Human weapons tore through the scaly hides of the sadistic Jem'Hadar, blasting their guts into the vacuum of space in an explosion of shredded purple viscera. Burning wrecks of Jem'Hadar battleships littered the void of space for thousands of miles. Just minutes ago, the battle had looked hopeless for the Galactic Alliance, with the technologically advanced and savage Jem'Hadar horde pouring relentless plasma fire into the battered Alliance ships. The Jem'Hadar had already obliterated half the Alliance fleet. On the bridge of the Alliance flagship, the weary Xanth gripped the armrests of his command chair. His four eyes widened in horror as he watched a Jem'Hadar energy torpedo vaporize the gas Indomitable in a blinding flash. Xanth slammed a blue fist on his command console. He turned to his comm officer, a young Xylothian with quivering head tendrils. "Ensign Xylox, status report. Tell me some good news. Are the Krellians sending reinforcements?" Xylox shook his head, face pale. I'm afraid not, sir. The Krellians and Bisons have fallen back to defend their homeworlds. Our allies, they're abandoning us, sir." Xanth felt like he'd been punched in the gut. Without help, there was no way the battered Alliance ships could hold back the Jem'Hadar onslaught. Earth, Xylos, a dozen Alliance worlds would burn under Jem'Hadar guns. Trillions would die in agony. "Sir, new contacts emerging from hyperspace," Xylox called out. "More Jem'Hadar?" Xanth asked, heart sinking. "No, sir, I've never seen these ship configurations before. Black angular craft bristling with plasma cannons, their charging weapons, targeting the Jem'Hadar." Xanth stared at the view screen, mandibles agape, as the strange new fleet opened fire. Searing bolts of blue-white plasma ripped into the Jem'Hadar ships, penetrating their shields like they weren't even there. Jem'Hadar cruisers exploded into clouds of shrapnel. "Sir, we're being hailed by the lead ship of the new fleet," Xylox reported. "They claim to be the United Earth Space Command. Sir, it's the humans." Xanth clacked his mandibles in shock. He had always dismissed the notion of a secret human fleet as wild speculation, but now, as he watched the human warships tear into the enemy, he realized how wrong he'd been. With Earth's powerful ships entering the fray, the Jem'Hadar wouldn't just be defeated, they'd be annihilated. Xanth boarded a shuttle that ferried him from his battered flagship to the gleaming human warship. The sleek craft sliced through the void, dodging floating Jem'Hadar wreckage. As the shuttle slipped into the Invictus's hangar bay, Xanth noticed the bustling efficiency of the human crew, scurrying about like disciplined insects. The bay doors sealed with a hiss, and the shuttle settled onto the deck with a gentle thud. Xanth disembarked, four eyes widening as he took in the spotless hangar, filled with angular black fighters and neatly stacked munitions. A pair of armed human marines snapped to attention, gesturing for Xanth to follow. They led him through gleaming corridors to the bridge. Doors parted with a whoosh, revealing a spacious command center filled with holographic displays and human officers tapping at glowing consoles. In the center stood Admiral Jones, a tall human with a neatly trimmed beard and piercing eyes. Jones strode forward, extending a hand. "Admiral Xanth, it's an honor to finally meet you. I've followed your career with great interest." Xanth clasped Jones's hand, surprised by the firmness of the human's grip. "The honor is mine, Admiral Jones, but I must ask, where did this fleet come from? How long have you had it?" A wry smile tugged at Jones's lips. "We've been building it in secret for decades, ever since we first made contact with the galactic community. We knew that one day we might need to defend ourselves and our allies." He waved a hand, activating a holographic star map that shimmered into existence. "We've been monitoring the Jem'Hadar's movements, and we realized that the Alliance was in danger. We couldn't stand by and watch." Xanth studied the map, noting the strategic positions of human ships. He nodded slowly, mandibles clicking. "Your foresight is impressive, Admiral. The Alliance owes you a great debt." Jones shook his head. "We're all in this together, but this is just the beginning. The Jem'Hadar will regroup and strike back. We need to coordinate our efforts and take the fight to them." He tapped a glowing star system on the map. Our intelligence suggests that the Jem'Hadar have a major shipyard and supply base in this system. If we can take it out, we'll cripple their ability to wage war. Xanth leaned closer, examining the system. It won't be easy. The Jem'Hadar will have that system heavily defended. A grin spread across Jones's face. That's where our secret weapons come in. We've developed a new type of stealth technology that will allow us to infiltrate the system undetected. And we have a team of elite commandos who specialize in sabotage and asymmetric warfare. Xanth's eyebrows rose, intrigued. Very well, Admiral Jones. Let's start planning the operation. Together we will show the Jem'Hadar the true strength of the Alliance. Jones nodded, eyes glinting with determination. He tapped a button on the console, bringing up a detailed schematic of the Jem'Hadar shipyard. Here's what we know so far. The shipyard orbits a gas giant, using its magnetic field to shield itself from long-range scans. It's heavily fortified, with a network of defense platforms and a constant patrol of Jem'Hadar warships. Xanth studied the schematic, mind racing with possibilities. A frontal assault would be suicide, but if your stealth technology can get us close enough, we might have a chance. He pointed to a small moon orbiting the gas giant. We could use this moon as a staging ground, hiding our ships in its shadow until we're ready to strike. My thoughts exactly, Jones agreed. He tapped a few commands into the console, zooming in on the moon. We can send in our commandos first, have them sabotage the shipyard's defenses from within. Once they give the signal, our fleets can jump in and catch the Jem'Hadar off guard. Xanth nodded slowly, mandibles clicking as he considered the plan. It's risky, but it might be our best chance. How soon can your commandos be ready? Jones grinned, a fierce light in his eyes. They're ready now, Admiral. Just give the word. Xanth took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the decision settling on his shoulders. He looked up, meeting Jones's gaze. Then let's do it. We'll show the Jem'Hadar what happens when they threaten the Alliance. Jones clasped Xanth's shoulder, a gesture of camaraderie. Together, Admiral, we'll end this war and bring peace to the galaxy. Xanth returned the gesture, feeling a surge of hope for the first time in months. With the humans by their side, the Alliance finally had a chance to turn the tide against the Jem'Hadar. They would strike hard and fast, crippling the enemy's ability to wage war. And then they would hunt down every last Jem'Hadar and make them pay for the lives they had taken. The planning continued, with officers from both fleets huddling around the holographic display, mapping out every detail of the upcoming operation. Xanth and Jones stood at the center, two warriors united by a common cause, determined to see their plan through to the end. As the strategy took shape, Xanth felt a growing sense of anticipation. The Jem'Hadar had no idea what was coming. They thought they had the Alliance on the ropes. That victory was within their grasp. But they had never faced the full might of humanity. They had never seen the lengths to which the humans would go to protect their allies and defend the innocent. The Jem'Hadar were about to learn that lesson the hard way. Xanth turned to Jones, a fierce grin spreading across his face. Let's get to work, Admiral. We have a war to win. Jones returned the grin, eyes glinting with anticipation. Aye, Admiral, let's show them what we're made of. The bridge bustled with activity as the two fleets prepared for the coming battle. Engineers fine-tuned the stealth technology, while commandos checked and rechecked their gear. Pilots ran through simulations of the upcoming fight, honing their skills and tactics. And at the center of it all, Xanth and Jones stood side by side, two leaders united by a common purpose, ready to lead their forces into the fire and forge a new future for the galaxy. The sleek human shuttle sliced through the void towards the looming Jem'Hadar shipyard, its black hull absorbing any stray sensor sweeps. Inside the cramped troop bay, Captain Reeves paced in front of his seated commandos, his eyes flinty. Listen up, people. This is the real deal. Everything we've trained for, it all comes down to this moment. We screw this up, and the Jem'Hadar will have free rein to slaughter billions. We do this right, and we give the Alliance a fighting chance. Understood? A chorus of "Yes, sir" rang out as the hardened soldiers checked their weapons strapped on their armor. Xanth sat among them, feeling out of place in the utilitarian troop bay, but determined to see the mission through. Reeves met Xanth's gaze, giving a curt nod. "Admiral, I won't pretend I'm thrilled to have you along. My people know what they're doing. They've trained together for years. You're an unknown variable. But if the Admiral thinks you can help, I'll take all the advantages I can get. Just remember, we're not on your bridge anymore. Out here, I'm in command. Clear?" Xanth returned the nod, mandibles clicking. "Understood, Captain. I'm here to follow orders and lend my expertise where needed. Your leadership is unquestioned." Reeves grunted, seemingly satisfied. He turned back to his troops. "All right, we're approaching the LZ. Masks on, prep for vacuum. Remember your training, watch your sectors, and we'll all make it back in one piece. Ura!" "Ura!" the commandos responded, the traditional battle cry of the human marines. They sealed their helmets, readied their weapons. The shuttle shuddered, the docking clamps engaging with a muffled clang. Reeves hit the door controls, the troop bay decompressing with a hiss as the ramp lowered. Beyond lay the pitted surface of the Jem'Hadar base, bathed in the sickly light of the nearby gas giant. "Go, go, go!" Reeves barked, the commandos pouring out of the shuttle, weapons up, moving with practiced precision. They fanned out, securing the perimeter, as Reeves and Xanth brought up the rear. Reeves consulted his wrist display, the holographic map of the base flickering to life. "All right, Team Bravo, proceed to the hangar. Team Alpha with me to the command center. Move out." The team split, disappearing into the maze of corridors. Reeves led the way, his rifle at the ready, Xanth close behind. The base was eerily quiet, the only sound the thud of their boots on the deck. They reached the command center, the door sealed tight. Reeves motioned to one of his men who knelt, placing a breaching charge. The commando looked up, catching Reeves's eye. The captain nodded. The charge detonated, the door blasting inward. Reeves was through the gap in a heartbeat, rifle spitting fire, Xanth on his heels. The Jem'Hadar technicians inside were caught off guard, several falling before they could even reach for weapons. It was over in seconds. Reeves moved to the main console, pulling a data spike from his belt. "Admiral, watch the door. This'll just take a minute." Xanth took up position, scanning the corridor, heart pounding. The sounds of distant explosions echoed through the base, Team Bravo doing their job. Reeves worked quickly, his fingers flying over the controls. Suddenly the lights flickered, the console going dark. Reeves grinned. "That's it. Shipyard's dead in the water. Let's get the hell out of here." They moved out, retracing their steps, linking up with Team Bravo as they went. The commandos were grim, several sporting injuries, but they had completed their mission. The charges were set. As they neared the shuttle, a guttural roar echoed from behind them. Xanth spun, his blood running cold. A hulking Jem'Hadar warrior stood at the end of the corridor, a vicious-looking energy weapon in his clawed hands. Reeves reacted instantly, shoving Xanth aside as the warrior fired. The blast caught the captain square in the chest, the force hurling him back against the bulkhead. He slid to the deck, a smoking hole in his armor. The commandos opened fire, their weapons stitching the Jem'Hadar with searing energy bolts. The warrior staggered, fell, but more were appearing behind him, a tide of snarling, vicious soldiers. "Get the captain!" Xanth roared, snatching up Reeves's fallen rifle. He provided covering fire as two commandos grabbed their fallen leader, dragging him back into the shuttle. The rest of the team piled in, Xanth backing up the ramp, rifle blazing. The shuttle lifted off, Jem'Hadar fire sparking off its hull. Xanth knelt next to Reeves, the captain's face pale, his breathing shallow. "Hold on, soldier. We're getting you out of here." Reeves coughed, blood flecking his lips. "No, leave me. Get clear." Xanth shook his head. "Not a chance, Captain. We all go home." Reeves managed a weak smile. "Stubborn bastard. Fine. Just don't let it be for nothing." As the shuttle rocketed away from the base, the charges detonated, the shipyard vanishing in a blinding flash of light. The shockwave buffeted the small craft, but it held course, streaking back towards the waiting fleet. Xanth held Reeves's hand as the medics worked, the light of the exploding base playing over the captain's pale features. They had struck a mighty blow against the Jem'Hadar, but the cost had been high. As the shuttle docked with the Invictus, Xanth looked out at the gathered ships, human and Alliance vessels side by side. They had won a great victory today, but the war was far from over. There would be more battles to come, more sacrifices to be made. But for now they could savor this moment, this triumph born of unity and courage. Xanth squared his shoulders, ready to face whatever came next. Together they would see this through to the end. The sleek human shuttle sliced through the void towards the looming Jem'Hadar shipyard, its black hull absorbing any stray sensor sweeps. Inside the cramped troop bay, Captain Reeves paced in front of his seated commandos, his eyes flinty. Listen up, people. This is the real deal. Everything we've trained for, it all comes down to this moment. We screw this up, and the Jem'Hadar will have free rein to slaughter billions. We do this right, and we give the Alliance a fighting chance. Understood? A chorus of "Yes, sir" rang out as the hardened soldiers checked their weapons, strapped on their armor. Xanth sat among them, feeling out of place in the utilitarian troop bay, but determined to see the mission through. Reeves met Xanth's gaze, giving a curt nod. "Admiral, I won't pretend I'm thrilled to have you along. My people know what they're doing. They've trained together for years. You're an unknown variable. But if the Admiral thinks you can help, I'll take all the advantages I can get. Just remember, we're not on your bridge anymore. Out here, I'm in command. Clear?" Xanth returned the nod, mandibles clicking. "Understood, Captain. I'm here to follow orders and lend my expertise where needed. Your leadership is unquestioned." Reeves grunted, seemingly satisfied. He turned back to his troops. "All right, we're approaching the LZ. Masks on, prep for vacuum. Remember your training, watch your sectors, and we'll all make it back in one piece. Ura." "Hurrah!" the commandos responded, the traditional battle cry of the human Marines. They sealed their helmets, readied their weapons. The shuttle shuddered, the docking clamps engaging with a muffled clang. Reeves hit the door controls, the troop bay decompressing with a hiss as the ramp lowered. Beyond lay the pitted surface of the Jem'Hadar base, bathed in the sickly light of the nearby gas giant. "Go, go, go!" Reeves barked. The commandos pouring out of the shuttle, weapons up, moving with practiced precision. They fanned out, securing the perimeter, as Reeves and Xanth brought up the rear. Reeves consulted his wrist display, the holographic map of the base flickering to life. "All right, Team Bravo, proceed to the hangar. Team Alpha, with me to the command center. Move out." The teams split, disappearing into the maze of corridors. Reeves led the way, his rifle at the ready, Xanth close behind. The base was eerily quiet, the only sound the thud of their boots on the deck. Suddenly, a guttural roar echoed from an adjoining corridor. Reeves whirled, rifle snapping up, as a group of Jem'Hadar soldiers burst into view, energy weapons blazing. "Contact!" Reeves shouted, opening fire. The commandos reacted instantly, taking cover, returning fire with disciplined bursts. Xanth ducked behind a bulkhead, his heart pounding as energy bolts sizzled past, scorching the metal. He risked a glance, saw a Jem'Hadar soldier lining up a shot at Reeves's exposed flank. Without thinking, Xanth leaned out, his own rifle barking. The Jem'Hadar staggered, fell, his shot going wide. Reeves glanced back, gave Xanth a nod of thanks. The skirmish was over in seconds, the last Jem'Hadar falling to a well-placed shot from Sergeant Hawkins. The commandos regrouped, reloading, checking for injuries. "Good shooting, Admiral," Hawkins said, slapping Xanth on the shoulder. "Looks like you're a quick study." Xanth managed a smile, his hands shaking slightly from the adrenaline. "I had good teachers." Reeves waved them forward. "Cut the chatter. We need to keep moving." They pushed deeper into the base, Xanth guiding them through the twisting corridors, his knowledge of Jem'Hadar architecture proving invaluable. They encountered sporadic resistance, small groups of soldiers that were quickly dispatched by the commandos' superior tactics and weaponry. At last, they reached the command center. Reeves motioned to Hawkins, who moved forward. placing a breaching charge on the sealed door. The rest of the team took up positions, ready to storm the room. The charge detonated with a muffled thump, the door blasting inward. The commandos surged through the opening, rifles spitting controlled bursts. The Jem'Hadar inside were caught off guard, several falling before they could even reach for their weapons. Reeves led the charge, his rifle barking, dropping targets with ruthless efficiency. Within moments it was over. The command center was secure, the last Jem'Hadar slumping over his console riddled with holes. Reeves moved to the central computer, motioning to Specialist Chen. "Get this data downloaded, I want everything they've got." Chen nodded, pulling a data spike from his belt, jamming it into the port. His fingers flew over the console, bypassing security protocols, siphoning the precious intelligence. Xanth moved to another console, scanning the readouts. "Captain, I found the power grid controls, but they're locked down tight, some kind of advanced encryption." Chen glanced over, frowning. "I've never seen anything like it. It's adapting faster than I can hack it." Reeves cursed under his breath. "We don't have time for this. The longer we stay, the more chance of them sounding the alarm." Xanth studied the scrolling code, his mind racing. There was something familiar about the patterns, the way it shifted and changed. "Wait," he said, mandibles clicking excitedly. "I recognize this. It's similar to a Krellian system I encountered during a diplomatic mission. If I can just—" He activated his comm, punching in a priority channel. "Ambassador Zoral, this is Admiral Xanth. I need your help now." The comm crackled, a confused Krellian voice coming through. "Admiral, what's going on?" Xanth quickly outlined the situation, describing the encryption. Zoral listened, his tone growing serious. "Yes, I see what you mean. It's an adaptive matrix designed to counter intrusion. But every system has a backdoor. Here, let me—" Zoral rattled off a string of code, Xanth relaying it to Chen. The specialist input the sequence, his brow furrowed in concentration. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, with a soft chime, the console unlocked, the power grid controls laid bare. Reeves clapped Xanth on the shoulder, a rare smile on his face. "Nicely done, Admiral. Looks like you're full of surprises." Chen's console beeped, the download complete. He yanked the data spike, tucking it into his belt. "Got it, Captain. We're good to go." Reeves nodded, keying his comm. "Bravo, status?" The reply crackled through, the sound of energy fire in the background. "Charges set, Captain, but we're taking heavy fire. Request immediate extraction." Reeves's jaw tightened. "Roger that, Bravo. We're on our way." He turned to his team. "You heard them. Let's move." They raced through the corridors, the sound of battle growing louder with each step. They burst into the hangar to find a scene of chaos, Team Bravo pinned down by a group of heavily armed Jem'Hadar soldiers. Reeves didn't hesitate. "Suppressing fire!" he barked, his rifle already up and spitting plasma. Team Alpha fanned out, adding their fire to Bravo's, forcing the Jem'Hadar to take cover. Under the combined onslaught, the enemy soldiers began to fall, one by one. Xanth moved from cover to cover, his own rifle barking, taking careful aim with each shot. A Jem'Hadar popped up from behind a crate, lining up a shot at Hawkins. Xanth fired, the soldier jerking back, his shot going wide. Hawkins glanced over, nodding in thanks. "Nice shot, Admiral. Remind me not to get on your bad side." Xanth just grinned, mandibles flaring. He was starting to understand why the humans enjoyed this so much. The last Jem'Hadar fell, and the commandos regrouped, moving towards the waiting shuttle. Reeves ushered them aboard, taking up a covering position at the ramp. As the last man boarded, a shout rang out. Xanth turned, saw a Jem'Hadar soldier, badly wounded but still fighting, lining up a shot at Reeves's back. Xanth moved without thinking, shoving Reeves aside. The energy bolt sizzled past, close enough to singe his carapace. Xanth brought his rifle up, fired a single shot. The Jem'Hadar dropped, his weapon clattering to the deck. Reeves picked himself up, staring at Xanth in shock. You saved my life." Xanth shrugged, his heart pounding. "Consider it payback for all the times you've saved mine." Reeves shook his head, a grin spreading across his face. "I think I'm starting to like you, Admiral." They boarded the shuttle, the ramp sealing behind them. As they lifted off, the charges detonated, the base vanishing in a blinding flash of light. The shockwave buffeted the small craft, but it held course, streaking back towards the waiting fleet. Xanth slumped in his seat, exhaustion washing over him. It had been a close call, but they had done it. The Jem'Hadar shipyard was destroyed, a major blow to their war effort. And he, Xanth, had played a part in it. Him, a diplomat, fighting alongside human commandos. If someone had told him a week ago that this was where he'd be, he would have laughed in their face. But now, as he looked around at the weary, grinning faces of the soldiers, he felt a sense of pride. He had fought beside them, bled beside them. In a small way, he was one of them now. The shuttle docked with the Invictus, and as the commandos disembarked, Reeves pulled Xanth aside. "I meant what I said back there, Admiral. You did good today, damn good. I'd be proud to fight beside you any time." Xanth clasped Reeves's hand, feeling a lump in his throat. "The feeling is mutual, Captain. I'm honored to have served with you and your team." As he watched Reeves walk away, Xanth felt a newfound sense of purpose. The battle against the Jem'Hadar was far from over, but now, more than ever, he believed they could win. The Alliance and the humans fighting side by side. It was a powerful combination, one that the Jem'Hadar couldn't hope to match. Xanth squared his shoulders, ready to face whatever came next. Together they would see this through to the end. As the human and Alliance ships pulled into formation, their hulls scored and blackened by the ferocious battle, the mood on the bridge of the Invictus was somber. Admiral Jones slumped in his command chair, his face haggard, his eyes haunted. Xanth approached him, laying a gentle hand on his shoulder. "Admiral, we've won a great victory. The Jem'Hadar shipyard is destroyed. Their ability to wage war has been crippled." Jones nodded, but his expression remained grim. "Yes, but at what cost? So many of our people dead. Captain Reeves, the commandos. They gave their lives for this. For us." Xanth felt the weight of those words, the burden of the sacrifice. "They died as heroes, Admiral. Their courage, their sacrifice. It will not be forgotten." Jones sighed, rubbing his eyes. "I know, but that doesn't make it any easier. I'll have to write the letters, you know, to their families. Tell them that their loved ones died bravely, in service to a greater cause." Xanth squeezed Jones's shoulder, a gesture of support, of shared grief. "We owe them a debt, Admiral, a debt we can never fully repay." Jones stood, squaring his shoulders. "Then let's make sure their sacrifice wasn't in vain. We have work to do." As the fleet set course for Alliance space, a sense of unease settled over the ships. They had struck a mighty blow against the Jem'Hadar, but at a terrible price. The wounds of this war would not heal quickly. Suddenly alarms blared across the bridge. Xanth rushed to the tactical display, his eyes widening in horror. "Admiral, long-range sensors are detecting Jem'Hadar ships, hundreds of them. They're attacking the Alliance core worlds." Jones leapt into action, barking orders. "All ships, battle stations, plot a course for the core world's maximum speed." The fleet leapt to light speed, racing towards the besieged planets. But as they dropped out of warp, the true scale of the devastation became clear. Alliance ships burned, shattered hulks drifting in the void. Jem'Hadar warships swarmed like angry hornets, pouring plasma fire into the beleaguered defenders. Planetary defense grids flickered and died under the onslaught. Jones stared at the tactical display, his face ashen. "There are too many of them. We can't defend all the planets, not with the ships we have left." Xanth felt a cold dread grip his heart. The Alliance was on the brink of collapse, its worlds burning under Jem'Hadar guns. The sacrifice of the commandos, of Captain Reeves, seemed suddenly in vain. Jones turned to Xanth, his eyes hard. "Admiral, I have to make a decision. The Alliance is crumbling. If we try to defend every world, we'll lose them all." Xanth nodded slowly, understanding the terrible choice that lay before them. "Earth," Jones said, his voice heavy with the weight of it. "We have to protect Earth, the survival of the Alliance, of the galaxy. It depends on the strength of humanity. If Earth falls... Xanth felt torn, his loyalty to the Alliance warring with his newfound bond with the humans, but in the end there was only one choice he could make. "I will stand with you, Admiral Jones. I will fight for Earth, for the future of the Alliance." Jones clasped Xanth's hand, a gesture of gratitude, of unity. "Then let's show these bastards what happens when they threaten our home." The fleet swung into action, the bulk of the human ships forming a defensive perimeter around Earth. The remaining Alliance vessels took up positions, ready to lend their support. The Jem'Hadar came on, a swarm of vicious, relentless foes. Their ships tore into the human defenses, plasma bolts hammering against shields, hulls buckling under the onslaught. But the humans fought back with a ferocity born of desperation, of the knowledge that they were fighting for their very survival. Fighters danced and swirled, guns blazing, as capital ships pounded each other with broadsides. On the bridge of the Invictus, Xanth and Jones directed the battle, coordinating the human and Alliance ships, seeking any advantage against the overwhelming Jem'Hadar forces. Consoles exploded in showers of sparks, the deck shuddering under each impact. Officers shouted reports, casualty lists, damage assessments. The air was thick with the acrid scent of burning plastics, of ozone. And still the Jem'Hadar came, wave after wave, throwing themselves at the human defenses with a single-minded thirst for vengeance. On the view screen, Earth hung in the void, a blue-green jewel against the blackness of space. Its cities glittered in the night, millions of lights, each one a life, a family, a story. Hans Xanth knew with a sudden fierce certainty that he would give his life to protect those lights, that he would stand with the humans, with Admiral Jones, until the bitter end. The battle raged for hours, the tide slowly, painfully turning. Human tenacity, Alliance technology, the bonds of friendship and shared sacrifice, they all played their part. And in the end, as the last Jem'Hadar ship exploded into a cloud of debris, as the weary defenders looked out over the scarred and battered Earth, they knew they had won. But the cost had been high. The human fleet was in ruins, its ships shattered, its ranks decimated. And Earth was a shadow of its former self, its cities reduced to rubble, its people shell-shocked and bleeding. Xanth stood on the bridge of the Invictus, looking down at the ravaged planet below. Beside him, Admiral Jones was a picture of exhaustion, his uniform torn and stained, his face streaked with sweat and grime. "We won," Jones said, his voice hollow. "But God, the price we paid—" Xanth nodded, his own heart heavy. The Alliance had suffered too, its worlds left in ashes, its fleets scattered and broken. But as he looked out at the wreckage of the once proud human civilization, as he saw the grim determination in the eyes of the survivors, he knew that they would rebuild, that the bonds forged in this crucible of war would endure. Jones turned to him, a weary smile on his face. "We couldn't have done it without you, Admiral Xanth, without the Alliance. When the chips were down, when everything hung in the balance, you stood with us." Xanth returned the smile, clasping Jones's hand. "And we always will, Admiral. That's the legacy of this war, the knowledge that we are stronger together than we ever were apart." Jones nodded, his eyes distant, seeing something beyond the shattered cities and burning skies. "We've seen the best and the worst of each other. We've looked into the abyss, and we didn't flinch. That's what will see us through the hard times ahead." Xanth looked out at the ravaged Earth, at the Alliance ships hanging in the sky, battered but unbowed. "You're right, Admiral. The road will be long and the scars will never fully heal, but we'll walk it together, the Alliance and humanity side by side." Jones gripped Xanth's hand, a promise, a vow, side by side until the end. And as the two leaders stood there, amidst the wreckage of war, amidst the ashes of victory, they knew that a new chapter was beginning, a chapter of rebuilding, of healing, of forging a future from the shattered remnants of the past. It would not be easy. The wounds were deep, the losses staggering, but they would endure, they would prevail. For they were the Alliance, they were humanity, and they would never surrender. You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.